Hello everyone, you are all welcome to lecture number 1259, and today's lecture is chemistry of reaction intermediates. And nowadays I am discussing about the reaction mechanism. So the formation of intermediate during the reaction, it is very important to understand. Before I discussed about the thermodynamic requirement of the reaction, without that it is not possible, and at the same time, once reactions are fulfilling the thermodynamic requirements, still unless it is fulfilling the kinetic requirement of the reaction, we cannot get the product. And during these reactions, we are getting two conditions. One is intermediate and other one is transition state. And here, it's a very simple way you understand that once we are saying of a reaction, means somewhere bond breaking will take place, and at the same time somewhere bond making. So it is the process of bond breaking and bond making. And in this case, if it is taking some more than one or two steps, it is called non-concerted reaction. Non-concerted means most of the reactions they are taking in multi-steps, either two-step, three-step reactions, and there will be formation of different type of reactive species. They can be free radical, they can be cation, they can be anion. All these species will collide and interaction will take place, and in this way the final product we will get. But there are some reactions which are not taking place in many steps, spontaneous, direct product in one step, and that is called concerted reaction. So here I will be discussing mainly non-concerted reaction means where more than 2-3 steps are taking place. And in this process, once we are taking reactants like AB and we are getting the product CDE, so how the different type of intermediates are formed. And secondly, which is very, very important for students to understand, because they are always confused. There are two conditions discussed in the reaction process. One is called intermediate. One condition is called intermediate. And other one is called transition state. So one is intermediate state of the reaction, other one is transition. So intermediate is very important step in the sense that we can isolate the product, we can crystallize the product. It is present in physical state, in the form of matter, in the form of material. But when we are talking of transition state of the reaction, it is imaginary, it is hypothesis. There is no any such type of material. It is just our hypothesis and thinking that it should be taking place like that in that transition state to roll down to product. So there is a big difference in intermediate formation. It is a product, and some of the products we just once it is formed as an intermediate product, we isolate it for our use, because some of them are okay up to intermediate state. But when we are talking of transition state of the reaction, is quite different. So let me show you how the reactions are taking place. So in this intermediate, I have already told you that it is material is isolated and it is hypothesis. And when one is reactant, and then you are getting product. So reactant means it can be, for example, here methane is there, for example, and there will be heterolytic bond fission, means bond breaking. I have already told you that reaction intermediate or reaction mechanism or reaction taking place is nothing but bond breaking and bond making, and that is taking place in 1, 2, 3 steps. So here I am showing first bond breaking. So one type of bond breaking where you will get CS3, and this is your equal breaking of bond, where this CS3 is taking one electron and hydrogen is taking one electron. So there is production of, this is called free radical. So one type of bond breaking will take place during the reaction where equal breaking of bond is there, and there is formation of free radical. Free radical is reactive and stable. This free radical, we also call it methyl free radical. It is called free radical, but it is not free. The second condition, and this condition is called homolytic. Homolytic bond fission or homolytic bond breaking. The second condition where the same methane is there, and it is unequal breaking of bond is taking place, means this CS3 is taking the electron of hydrogen, and there will be formation of and plus H positive. So once any CS3 which is having extra electron because of unequal breaking of bond is called carbanion. Is called CARBANION, and it is also known as methyl carbanion, or we may call it methyl carbanion. The other condition is like this: the same CS3 is here, and the electron is going to other side with hydrogen, and you will get diffusion species, reacting species, that is CS3 plus minus. It is known as carbocation. It is known as carbo, or other words we can say it is also known as carbonium ion. And this is called, this type of bond breaking in the two conditions. This one is A condition, this is B, and this is C. So B and C condition is called heterolytic bond fission, or we call it heterolysis. So homolysis is taking place, heterolysis is taking place. In the case of homolysis, the free radicals are produced, and in the case of heterolytic or heterolysis, the two type of species, reacting species are produced. One is called that is carbonium ion, that is carrying positive charge. Other one is which is carrying negative charge, is called carbanion or carbon anion, and this one is called carbocation. So these are all this reaction species during the breaking of bond is taking place. And once they are splitted, once bond breaking has taken place, then there will be transition again to combine the other species to form the product. So here let me discuss the summary. Number one, we know that the bond making and bond breaking takes place during the reactions in non-concerted reaction. All I have already discussed, and I have demonstrated different type of species. And non-concerted reactions means where there are more than 1, 2 or 3 steps. It means transition state of breaking and making steps, maybe 1 step, 2 steps, or it means bond breaking takes place prior to the bond making. So bond breaking is taking place before making the bond. That is the condition in transition state, and it is not the same time. In this way, a highly energetic intermediates are produced. This is the place where you have to understand. In the case of non-concerted reaction, when reactants are there, they will form highly reactive species, and that highly reactive species, they are because of the bond breaking, and that bond breaking is before making the bond. It can be 1 step and 2 step is a transition state, but I have already discussed the difference in transition state and intermediate. So that is called intermediate species. That is the formation of such type of carbocation, carbanion, free radicals, and is formed maybe with very short duration of time, maybe for a few seconds. Such type of species are formed, and immediately they will combine with other species. Such intermediate species are called reaction intermediates. For example, there are 2 conditions of bond breaking that I have already demonstrated in a very simple way. One is homolytic, other one is heterolytic. Homolytic means homolysis will take place and there will be formation of free radicals by equal breaking of bond. That is one case, and the carbocation will be formed, then carbanion will be formed, free radicals will be formed, carbenes will be formed, and nitriles will be formed. These are all different type of intermediate species, and one by one there is a big chemistry. For example, if I am going to discuss this, the chemistry of this species, for example, carbonium ion or carbon cation chemistry, there are hundreds of pages. The second, different type of products and reactants we will get. Then if I am discussing carbanion, that is negatively charged species which is formed by heterolytic bond fusion, then there is lot of products formed out of carbanion. Then the third one, free radical formation by homolytic bond fusion. There are lot of products, polymers are formed because of such type of reaction. So one by one these reaction mechanisms I will be discussing, and it may take up to 1 month to discuss all these reactions. So this, and I have demonstrated these species how they are formed. The first one I have given here, how the bond breaking is taking place. Heterolytic carbocation is formed, and this carbocation CH3 is here. Other way is that this CH3 is taking 1 electron, and there will be formation of CH3 minus. This is called carbanion. And the other third one here, the equal bond breaking is taking place, means there will be formation of free radicals. Now the other condition that is called stability of these intermediates, that is another big chemistry, and that I will be discussing one by one when I am discussing each species. So with this I will stop here. In the next lecture I will continue in discussing the reaction intermediate once again. Thank you very much for watching the lecture.